Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tornado Talk. We're here every Monday night at Dugan's Pub, 29 West French Broad Street in Brevard, North Carolina. And we have another hour of a inside look at Brevard College athletics for you. I've got an exciting show for you again tonight. We'll have men's basketball head coach Lee Burgess to wrap up the 2018-19 season. We've got two Brevard College climbers in the house. Sam Willis and Mac Fitzgerald will preview the upcoming Brevard College climbing event that's coming this weekend. We've got football offensive line coach Everett Lindsay. Two of the stars of this weekend's big men's lacrosse result, Jackson McCaig and Peyton Mooney, are in the house. And we'll wrap up with our Inside Athletics segment with newly appointed Assistant Athletic Director Stephanie Johnson. Want to thank all of our sponsors, Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingalls, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and Dugan's Pub. Do want to start with some breaking news. Men's tennis, Tom Mittring has been named USA South Men's Tennis Player of the Week this week. Big news for Tom. He is on a 12-match winning streak in singles competition, has just been rolling through the competition, and becomes the first ever USA South Player of the Week for Brevard College Tornado in the sport of tennis. Tom and the rest of the men's and women's tennis teams under Coach Evan Schreiner will return to action this weekend when they head to Demorest, Georgia to take on Piedmont College. And very impressive results in these USA South Player of the Week categories this season across all the sports at Brevard College. In total, 13 awards have been garnered this academic year. And I'll just run through the names real quick because it's like a who's who across the Brevard College athletic department. Ashley Hughes, women's soccer. Rebecca Rojas, women's soccer. Hannah Weatherall, women's soccer, won it twice. Trayvon Charles of football, Dalton Cole football, won it twice, Jaquan George football, Quentin Jackson football, Patrick Hall men's soccer, Avery Lockwood women's basketball, Matthew Scavato in baseball, and most recently the award announced today, Tom Mittring with men's tennis. So congratulations to Tom. To catch you up, what happened over the weekend at Brevard College Athletics. Baseball, after splitting their season-opening four-game series at William Peace a weekend ago, won their home opener 4-3 over Montreat. Bryce Foster with a great appearance as the starting pitcher, and then freshman Alex Winchester earned his first collegiate win, pitching two shutout innings to close out that game, and the Tornadoes come from behind from a 3-0 deficit to win 4-3. Then some tough luck on Saturday, losing both games of a doubleheader to Toccoa Falls at Gilcone Field, losing 7-5 and 12-7. There was a game scheduled for Sunday at Toccoa Falls. That was canceled due to weather. And one stat that we'll continue to monitor this season that's pretty remarkable in this early season for Brevard College baseball, the Tornadoes are 19 for 19 on the base paths, have not been caught stealing yet. 19 for 19 in stolen base attempts. This weekend, the Tornado baseball team heads to Piedmont, a three-game series. Game one scheduled for Friday, Game two Saturday, and Game three Sunday in Demorest, Georgia. Men's lacrosse, we'll be talking to a couple of those student athletes later in the show under the direction of head coach Jim Fritz. Big 21-7 win over Randolph and Lynchburg, Virginia this past Saturday. The Tornadoes improved to 2-1. Peyton Mooney sets a school record for highest single-game save percentage for a goalkeeper at Brevard College, and Jackson McCaig set a school record for most points in a game. We'll be talking to those two student-athletes a little later in the show. Hewitt Farr continues his hot start, scoring 7 goals on Saturday against Randolph. So a good result for the Tornadoes men's lacrosse up in Virginia over the weekend. Next up, a trip to the state of Maryland against Hood College on Saturday at 1 p.m. in Frederick, Maryland. Women's lacrosse under the direction of head coach Kristen Rosado had the week off after that 14-5 season opening win over Bernal. Next up, there's a matchup tomorrow at Montreat, Tuesday, 5 p.m. at Montreat. If you want to head on over, not too far from us here, as the Tornadoes continue their season in women's lacrosse. Softball had a doubleheader scheduled against Piedmont International. That was postponed due to weather as well. They're traveling to Elizabeth City, North Carolina, tomorrow for a doubleheader, and then their home opener will be this weekend versus Montreat at Ives Lemel Field. Doubleheader starts at 1 p.m. this Saturday. Climbing is coming off a big finish up at an event hosted by Western Carolina University. We'll talk to a couple of those climbers in just a little bit here. And then climbing has a event this Saturday, the third annual Brevard Boulder Bash. Action gets underway at 2 p.m. Men's golf is preparing for its first event of the season. They travel to Myrtle Beach a week from today. And then if you want to mark your calendar, cycling will open up its road racing season March 9th at Georgia Tech, and track and field opens March 15th in Hickory, North Carolina. Well, those are all the spring sports. Now, basketball, both women's and men's basketball concluded their 2018-19 campaign. Do want to talk about women's basketball a bit. They finished with a 70-67 road loss at Pfeiffer. In that game, senior Annalie Bollinger eclipsed the 1,000-point mark. She now has 1,002 career points as she winds down her career, and just want to congratulate her for that milestone. She's already the career three-pointers made leader at Brevard College, and she was named to the USA South All-Sportsmanship team. In that game this past Wednesday, Taisha Washington, 16 points, 10 rebounds. Destiny Williams, 15 points as well. And that brings us to men's basketball, and we'll catch up with head coach Lee Burgess joining Tornado Talk yet again on this Monday evening.
A little tangled up. Sorry about that.
No problem. Coach, thanks for joining the show.
Absolutely.
Well, I do want to treat this as a bit of a wrap-up for the 2018-19 season, but before we do, just want to catch people up on this past week. A loss versus Maryville, and then you all took a difficult trip to Huntington in Montgomery, Alabama, a 73-60 loss. If we can recap that Huntington game, because I think, it might have been out of sight, out of mind for some folks who didn't have the benefit of maybe watching it on the live stream. Can you catch people up how that game unfolded, the loss at Huntington?
Yeah, so, that was, it's our longest trip of the year. Huntington was playing on their senior day. I thought our guys, we started the game pretty well. It was tight for a while. And then towards the end of the first half, we got a little sloppy with the ball and had a handful of turnovers, whether it be, 5 out of 7 or 8 possessions or something like that, where we turned the ball over a lot, and they were able to spurt out at halftime and be up maybe 14, 15 points at half, where it had been a very close and competitive game most of the first half. And then to start the second half, they put a little run on us right at the beginning of the second half and spurted it out. Our guys didn't fold it in. They kept competing, and we were able to close it down a little bit. Never really truly threatened it late, but got it, I think, 73-60. I think you said that was the final score. So 13-point spread at the end. So our guys stuck with it and fought all the way till the end. And we had everybody played in that game, and so we tried to get everybody out there for a little bit. So being the last game of the year, and us not eligible for postseason play, not going to postseason play. I mean, I was happy that our guys didn't just fold it in there and kept competing. And we'll give them a little bit here to kind of decompress, and then start looking at next year. But kind of our bugaboo as we are treating this as kind of like a wrap up. We struggled to take care of the ball in that game, and that was what hurt us against Huntington. Huntington is a pressure-oriented team, tries to turn you over a little bit and wear you down. we were playing without Messiah Pankey, who was injured, and that's an additional ball handler that we usually have out there that, perhaps could have helped us in our ball security department. So we're a little shorthanded in our backcourt, but yeah, kind of our bugaboo all year was turning the ball over, at too high a clip, and that was a big factor in the game against Huntington as well.
Well, it also marked the final game in a Brevard College Tornado uniform for senior Cavell Kingsbury, the lone senior on the team. We've talked quite a bit about Cavell, and we had him on the show leading up to that senior day.
Yeah.
Just one last time, before he moves on, to new endeavors and tries to get into the business world or whatever's next for Cavell. I'm sure he'll be successful wherever he lands. But can you sum up Cavell and his meaning to the team?
Yeah, we thanked him for his contributions for sure, after the game in the locker room. And he said a few things to the team that I thought were very, well said, by him. Cavell says he wants to get into college coaching. And I think he can be good at that if that's something that he wants to get into. He's a guy that I think you can trust, that is loyal, that will operate with integrity, and is a bright young man. So if the crazy profession of college coaching is something that he wants to get into, then I think he can find success in that. But coming into the program from a junior college and being in it for 2 years and really sticking with it. He didn't have a huge role on the team early in his junior year, and then found himself on the floor a little bit more as the season ended, and then was not in the starting lineup at the beginning of this year, and fought his way onto the starting lineup there, kind of midway or a little bit shy of midway through the year on. So he's somebody that's going to stick with it. He's going to work hard and find a way to be successful at whatever he chooses to do.
Now, can't wrap up the season without talking about Levi Lamb, leading scorer on the team, 15.2 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
Came up clutch several times. The most memorable being that 78-73 come from behind overtime win over Piedmont back on January 22nd. Thoughts on Levi Lamb, and maybe looking at it also from what are the areas he needs to improve on? We know how prolific of a player he is to take it to yet another level.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a couple things that Levi can work at. First of all, he had a very good season for us, and the games that we won, we really did need him out there to help us get those wins. So Levi helped us win games. Levi's got a lot of different ways he can score the ball, which is good. He shot the ball at a pretty decent clip this year. I think he can continue to work on that and become a little more consistent, even though he did shoot it at a good clip. I think Levi's biggest thing that he can get better at is just kind of overall strength. I think when he finds problems is when guys are able to be more physical with him, and he doesn't really have an answer for that. So, a little bit of lower body strength, a little bit of strength around the shoulders, are things that he can get improved at. Now, Levi's frame is not one. I mean, he's not going to put on a bunch of weight of muscle. That's just not how his frame is. But I think he can find himself a little more of a base, to be strong around the basket, where he can't quite get knocked off his spot quite so easily. And I think that will help him offensively. And then I think his conditioning level is something that he can continue to improve as well, because we asked him to play a lot of minutes, and I think he may have worn down a little bit. So if he can continue to improve on that, then those are things that I think can aid him going on. Anybody in our program can always continue to get better at ball handling and shooting. I know I mentioned his shooting already. I don't think Levi's ball handling is a deficiency. I don't think his shooting is a deficiency, but certainly things he can continue to improve on. But in my opinion, his most glaring stick out in terms of what I saw the problem is just kind of his strength. And Levi doesn't have a great frame to put a bunch of muscle on, but I do think it's something he can pay attention to and get a little bit better at.
Now, while Levi was the leading scorer for the Tornadoes, statistically the leading rebounder was Cannon Lamb. We haven't talked about Cannon a whole bunch on the show this season. Tell viewers a little more about Cannon.
Cannon is one of our more local guys comes from about an hour to an hour and a half away in McDowell County, Marion, McDowell High School. So, um, we recruited him for a while. He chose us kind of towards the end of the recruiting process, and has found himself with a major role on our team. And it was one he didn't necessarily have that big role early on in his career either, and found his way into that spot. Cannon worked really hard this year to improve his perimeter shooting. I think he shot 40 from the arc. I want to say 40% from the arc is what he ended up shooting, which is really solid for him, and something that he's worked at. I don't know that we saw that coming off of last year, but he shot it well from the arc, made people guard him out there. He's a tough guy to guard around the basket. The first time through. Our challenge to him is going to be to continue to develop secondary moves around the basket. He's got a great move where he spins back to his left shoulder and tries to shoot a right-handed jump hook off the glass, and he does that really well. But when people start to sit on that, he needs a secondary move to kind of get to it. He's working at that. Just a sophomore, will continue to get better at that. And Canada's not scared of anybody or anything. He will look people right in the face and go to battle with them. So he's got a lot of qualities about him that are really good. Some things that we would like him to continue to get better at that we'll keep talking to him about, and hopefully he can work on those things. But his improvement with his perimeter shot, and then his not any kind of fear or back down against anybody are some of his stronger assets.
Now, when recapping the season, what pops into my brain as well is the freshman class. Noah Lee, Messiah Pankey, and Joshua Wilson. At times, really got a lot out of those three.
Yep.
They did all three have different games and provide different things to the Tornadoes. Can you talk about how important that freshman class ended up being?
Yeah, no, we relied on all three of those guys. And, something this program has struggled with over the last few years is our retention of our good freshmen, sophomores, to make them sophomores, juniors, and so forth. We're going to finally see that next year with a junior class. It will be seniors, hopefully, with Levi and Jacob and Gaddafi. Damari athletically will be a junior, but academically he'll be a senior. Those guys have been together throughout. So I'm hoping we'll reap some of those benefits with those guys that are now going to be finally a senior class that's not a one-person senior class. And now we talk about these freshmen here. And if we can keep these guys together and keep moving forward as a group, we're starting to put together class after class where there's some stability in the program. And now, next year's senior class can continue to teach these freshmen who's going to be sophomores. And then when they move out the door, these sophomores, Messiah, Noah, Josh, will become juniors, and it'll be kind of their turn to show these other guys the way. So when you can get those talented guys to have big roles as freshmen, that can be a really good thing, provided they can then stick together and kind of work their way through the program, which we're hoping all three of these guys can do, because they do have, all three of them have a lot of ability. All three of them are very different in what those abilities are and what their skill sets are. So we can keep those guys together. We've got a pretty versatile group there. Some of them very athletic, some of them good shooters, some of them great intangible guys. There's a mix of that within that group that we can count on and put on the floor, and hopefully moving forward where we now have sophomores that will become juniors, become seniors, and we can continue to build the program that way.
Yeah, the one senior, this is sort of the benefit of it, is that you've got the building blocks
Right.
moving forward. Coach, appreciate you recapping the year with us and coming on all season long. I do want to end with this. A very special part of the season all year long was a young boy, 9 years old, out of Cherokee, North Carolina, named Russell McKay.
Yep.
People may have seen him if they came to a game right there in the huddle with the Tornadoes.
Yep.
There every step of the way. And, if there was a break during the halftime or even post-game, he was right there shooting hoops.
Yep.
He is facing juvenile idiopathic arthritis, which he was diagnosed with in 2014, and part of the Team Impact program, which links children who are facing serious chronic illnesses with college athletic teams. It's not the first time the Tornadoes have participated in this, but Russell was a great teammate of the Tornadoes all year long. Can you cap off the season, telling us even more about Russell?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a part of our team and is going to continue to be. He's going to be around next year as well. So we'll look forward to staying in touch with him through this offseason and summer, and then getting him back with us once the games start back. But Russell was around a lot, home games, away games. He was there. So yeah, he was another member of our team. Our guys at the first part of the season, when he would show up, it was kind of like, hey, Russell's here. And then as it went on, it was pretty much normal and routine for Russell to be standing there with us at the national anthem, to be standing with us in the huddle, which is what we want. And I think that's the whole goal of the program, is for them to be able to mesh themselves into the program where they're part of the program, and Russell is. So we'll stay in touch with him this offseason and summer, and then get him back with us next year, and hopefully we can win a few more games with him in the program next year.
Well, I tip my hat to the great community service you guys did, really helping a young boy, through some difficult times. And folks want to learn more, www.goteamimpact.org. Coach, thanks for coming on tonight and
Phil.
all season long.
Absolutely.
Good luck with the off-season work, and we'll see you down the road.
Thank you.
Head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess recapping that 2018-19 season. Appreciate Coach Burgess coming on the show throughout the basketball season. And we'll now turn the page, talk a little climbing. Joined now by two climbing student athletes at Brevard College, Sam Willis and Max Fitzgerald. Gentlemen, thanks for joining the show.
Hello, how we doing?
Great to have you on Tornado Talk. Well, before we get to this weekend's big event, which is, you could walk from here at Dugan's Pub or walk from the Brevard College campus to the Brevard Rock Gym and check you guys out on Saturday. We're going to promote the heck out of that before we're done.
Sweet.
But I do want to talk about this past weekend up at Western Carolina University. You guys participated in a competition there. How did that go for you guys individually and also as a team?
Yeah, I think as a team we all did really well. We all worked really hard, climbed really hard. It was fun to be there. We all had a good time.
Great energy.
Personally, I didn't start off super great, but towards the end of the competition we finished off with some of my stronger climbs. A good 4 strong climbs in a row, so I finished off really well, and it felt good to get that going.
Yeah, I had one of my best comps of the season. I started off pretty strong, and I finished pretty strong, which was nice after being sick for the past week. But as a team, we did fantastic. We had great energy. We all were focused. We all knew what we had to do. We all did what we had to do, and it was just a solid comp all around.
Yeah, and it seemed like a competitive field, 39 climbers on the men's side, 32 on the women's side. On the women's side, Madison Altman finishes 6th, Danielle Brown 19th. Jake Roberts for Brevard College finishes 13th, Mac 22nd, Sam 30th. But, competitive field with a lot of climbers. So, so certainly congratulations on that. Now, earlier this spring, or if you want to call it winter, back in January, you all traveled to Chattanooga for an event, the Tennessee Bouldering Authority competition. Tell listeners a little bit about that one and how that one went.
Yeah, that one was a really fun competition. It was a lot different than the style that we're used to at Brevard Rock Gym. The walls were all really steep, overhung stuff. So it was fun to kind of get out of our element and things we're used to and get to a new gym that I don't think most of us have been to before. If not, people have gone maybe a couple times beforehand, but I certainly haven't been there, and it was nice to get to a new spot, whereas Western, we're there all the time. I've been there for the past 3 years competing there, so it was nice to get into a new gym and compete with some new people.
Mac, similar thoughts about Chattanooga?
Yeah, Chattanooga was one of my favorite comps. It was one of my favorite styles. It was great setting. There was great energy there. It was a great comp all around. Really enjoyed that comp, and I had never been there before.
Great stuff. Well, it all leads up to this weekend.
Yeah.
This Saturday at the Brevard Rock Gym, the 3rd annual Brevard Boulder Bash. So Brevard College in the climbing program has been hosting this for a couple years now, and this will be the 3rd annual. The first thing that pops into my head, when I think about this is home field or home court or home wall advantage.
Whatever it is. Yep.
You guys will have it this weekend. How big is that to have the home court advantage, and be familiar with that facility?
I think it's really good for us as climbers. It's where you feel most comfortable, whereas, in a different sport, you can go to another field and it's basically the same thing. You kind of, it's the same idea, but when you're in the gym where you practice all the time and you're on those walls all the time and the setters who set the routes and the kind of styles that go around in that gym, I think it really bodes well for us and we feel most comfortable there to where we can really, give it our all and we always, I think all of us perform that much better when we're there.
Absolutely, yeah. Us having home wall advantage, absolutely critical. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think we're all going to compete well. As Sam was saying, when you travel, it's different. You don't know how the routes are climbed. You don't know what style they're in. But when you're home, you've got like the same 6 or 7 setters every time, so you have a vague idea of what's going down.
One thing I've been trying to do with climbing every time we've had some guests on Tornado Talk is educating the public a little bit about your sport, because let's face it, not everybody knows the details, the ins and outs of climbing. It's a rapidly growing sport. ESPN just signed a deal with USA Climbing where they're airing a bunch of USA Climbing national competitions. It's going to be in the Olympics coming up as a certified official sport. Can you tell listeners who may want to come out to the Brevard Rock Gym on Saturday, in a nutshell, what are they going to get the chance to see?
I think there's a lot you get to see at a rock climbing competition. It's different from your average sport. The energy that you can feel in a rock gym is something that you don't exactly get in a lot of other sports where it's like outside. You get that really homey environment. It's really fun. See people, climbing their hardest, shouting, yelling. Everybody tends to root for each other, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, it's super exciting that ESPN has just done this. It's a huge step in the progression of climbing, and the fact that it's in the Olympics is also, it means there's going to be hundreds of thousands of more climbers out there, which is super cool, and it bodes well for our sport.
Now, both of you are what folks around Brevard College know as Willie majors.
Yep.
The wildlife leadership program at Brevard College, and you're actually a double major with
Yes.
business as well, Sam. Yep. What comes to mind is you guys are climbers, and you climb in a gym, but you have the opportunity here at Brevard College to have Pisgah National Forest right here and, go out and experience nature, but also, exercise your sport out there.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about how those two things mesh here at Brevard College for guys like yourself.
Absolutely, yeah. In the Willie department, there's a lot of times you have opportunities to climb, whether it be, freshman year when you're taking intro to rock climbing, where you get to rope up for some people for the first time and you climb on slabby routes, and then you have your weekend trip and you'll go out to someplace like Rumbling Bald climbing area, and you'll rope up for maybe a day or go hit the boulders out there, and it's really fun to mesh our sport competitively, but also to be able to go out and learn a thing or two in the classroom and just have some fun in the classroom as well as compete.
For sure.
And, are you able to actually train out there on the rocks in Pisgah, and develop, with skills, but also strength, to benefit you on the rock gym?
Oh, yeah. So most climbers will train in a gym so they can climb outside. So outdoor climbing is huge for most climbers. But so mostly I train indoors for climbing outside, but climbing outside gets you ready for indoor competitions. It helps build up your skin, helps get you in the right mindset. It's critical.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Last thing, Mac, you're from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
Sam, you're from Northwest Indiana, just
Yep.
outside of Chicago.
Yep.
For those who might be considering Brevard College and maybe even, becoming a climbing student athlete and joining your team, tell folks how special this place is to go to school, but also to be a climbing athlete. You're one of the very few, if not the only, we're still doing the research on it, varsity climbing programs in the country. It's a special opportunity, for students who want to enjoy the sport of climbing as well. In a nutshell, I'd like to hear from both of you. Why is Brevard such a great spot for exactly what you do?
Yeah, I think, as you said, we might be the only one as a varsity climbing team in the entire nation, which is incredible. A lot of people compete on teams as kids and stuff like that, but once you get older, there's kind of not really a team spot to go. And you can do that here, and not only get to do that competitively, you get to go in the classroom, learn more about it, and then in your free time, you're half an hour drive from some of the best boulders around. So the possibilities are endless for climbing here, and it's I feel lucky to be able to do it.
Yeah, Sam put it perfectly. I was recruited to Brevard College climbing team. I really signed on because of the area. I knew there was phenomenal climbing around, but I also signed on because I knew I'd be under the direction of Travis Gray, fantastic coach. So, absolutely, yeah. Consider Brevard College for climbing.
Well, folks, you get the chance this weekend to see Sam and Mac and the entire Brevard College climbing team in action. Brevard Rock Gym. Competition gets started 2 p.m. this Saturday for the 3rd annual Brevard Boulder Bash. The event's free for spectators, so come on over. Check out a new sport for a lot of people, and really should be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it personally. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And best of luck this weekend, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, that was 2 Brevard College student athletes from the sport of climbing, Sam Willis and Mac Fitzgerald, getting geared up for this weekend's 3rd annual Brevard Boulder Bash. And we're getting ready for our next guest. Going to shift gears yet again here for the Brevard College Tornadoes. We're going to talk a little football as we do every show. As our guest gets settled here, great to be joined by offensive line coach Everett Lindsay. Coach Lindsay, thanks for joining the show.
Oh, thanks for having
Really
me.
appreciate you coming on Tornado Talk tonight. And, we have a Brevard College football coach on every week, you know, because your sport, probably unlike any other, is indeed a year-round presence. You guys are always buzzing over there at the football office. Do want to start with this, it's not that far away in the rear-view mirror. From your perspective, and as far as your unit went, how did the 2018 season go on the offensive line?
I mean, I think it went well. I think we developed much better than the first year. I said in coming on the show before, our maturity level went up, threefold from our first year, because I started 5 freshmen my first year, and we had, basically 3 sophomores and 2 freshmen last year. So I think, it went so much better last year, at least for our group.
Great. And then, the feedback I'm getting from all the coaches on the staff is things look even brighter as far as the experience level goes, and, you all continuing to build Brevard College football into something special. Similar feelings yourself as far as the offensive line goes?
Yeah, the longer they stay in the program and the more they mature and the more football they play, the better they're going to get. The more I'm around them, the more coaching they get, the more their body matures, the more they're in the weight room, the more they're on the football field, the better they will become as an athlete.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, Coach. Now, Coach, I do want folks to get to know you a little bit. And before we do that, though, the one thing that stands out when we go through the coaching staff at Brevard College is the amount of experience.
Yes.
You know, you go through the bios on bctornadoes.com, and there's NFL brand after NFL brand and major college football D1 brand names sprinkled throughout. And you're a big part of that. You know, I look at your resume, Vikings, Ravens, Browns, Arizona Cardinals, you know, whether as a coach or a player.
Yeah.
How important is that, you know, when you're talking to recruits and also just the cohesiveness of you all as a coaching staff, that there's that much experience amongst you all?
Well, I think when Billy chose his staff, I think he already knew everybody. No, we all didn't know each other. You know, there's a few of them had passed through whatever, but he knew that we all would fit together somehow in his head. And it worked well. As far as, you know, I never knew Eric before I came here. I never knew Bather or any of those guys. So he knew in his head that we would fit well together. And we'd all been in similar type offenses and offenses that called things similarly. So I thought, you know, Billy did a great job in bringing us all together. And we'd all work with Billy in one place or another. With me, it was in Arizona. But I think when talking to recruits about that stuff, I think more so that I have played all the positions on the offensive line really helps me more than my experience as an NFL player. I mean, it helps, don't get me wrong, when you're talking to a kid and he wants to know about what it's like or who's this or who's that or who you know. But when it comes to strictly on the field, I think that I've played all five and I've coached. You know, I've coached at the highest level. I think that really helps.
You did play all five in the NFL, all five positions, center, left and right guard, left and right tackle. How hard is it in this day and age for a player, for an offensive lineman, to be interchangeable like that?
I think it's almost impossible. I played guard and tackle in college, so it wasn't a huge thing. And what helped me in college is we played a lot. We played a short side and a strength side, so we called it quick side or strength side. So I was always the open side tackle or the open side guard. So I always had to play on the left side or the right side, depending on the formation. So it always helped me get in different stances and work different technique from the left and different technique from the right, just working my feet and my hands. So that really helped me develop. And when I went to the NFL, I got drafted as a tackle. And after my first year, I went in and they wanted to play me at guard and swing, and they wanted me to develop as a center. So that worked out well. And then injuries always happen in the NFL, and that's where really the right tackle and the right guard and center and everything came into play. So and it helped me, you know, play for 11 years. You know what I mean? The more you can do, and in the NFL level, you only dress, you know, normally 7-8 linemen for a game. So we were able to dress because of another guy, Hunter Goodwin, who was my roommate, who was a tight end who played tackle in college. We were able to dress 6 guys for football games and get more skilled guys and more stuff because I could play all 5.
Yeah, and I would imagine here at Brevard College and, you know, on the NCAA D3 level, just sometimes because of attrition or what have you, you're going to have to move a player from tackle to guard or from guard to center. And
more so than other, you got to move guys to tackle because at this level, that's where the recruiting really, you know, the bigger kids are, you know, harder to recruit. The taller kids are harder to recruit because if you have some talent and you're a taller kid, I mean, I have some unbelievable football players who are 6 foot tall, but it's hard to recruit a subpar kid who is 6'5", because somebody's going to take a chance on him. Somebody's going to look at him. So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, to catch people up, in case you weren't aware, Coach Lindsey played at Ole Miss, a very prolific college career, first-team All-SEC, first-team All-American as an offensive lineman, drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, played for the Vikings, Ravens, Browns, Vikings, and then eventually entered the coaching world, reuniting with Dennis Green, who drafted you originally, as the Vikings coach, but then he was with the Cardinals. Tell folks a little bit about how that all went down. You wrap up your playing career, and then you have the opportunity to coach pretty quickly.
It was kind of a crazy deal. So I was out. I had worked out for New England. I was going to sign with New England, and Denny had given me a call and said, "Hey, listen, I hear you still want to play." And I said, "Yeah." This was after my 11th season, and he said, "Well, why don't you come play for me in Arizona?" I said, "Okay, yeah, great." So I went through the whole preseason, played the whole preseason with him. Going into the first game, we're practiced our first 3 practices. He called me in his office, first time I'd ever been released. He said, "Everett, hey, I want you to stick around, though. I have something for you." And I thought he was going to bring me back because the NFL rules, if you're active the first game, you make your full salary. And if you get cut, they can bring you back under whatever terms. So 2 weeks later, he calls me and says, "Come on back." He says, I want you to be the assistant line coach. And I said, "Well, let me think about it." He said, "Okay, I said, "Fine." I signed a contract to be assistant line coach. And after 2 weeks, Denny and the offensive line coach had some discrepancy or whatever, and he ended up firing guy. And who's Bob Wiley, who's a good offensive line coach. If anybody watched the Cleveland Browns deal this year, was offensive line coach with the Cleveland Browns, and he moved me up to be the offensive line coach about week 3.
Yeah, so within 2 years of wrapping up your playing career, you're the offensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals.
It was within 3 weeks.
Amazing.
I hadn't even officially retired yet, and I was offensive line coach with the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Well, it's incredible to think that experience is now available for the Brevard College student athletes. You all have been diligently on the road looking for recruits. Now that you've been here for a few years, what are the real selling points, talking points that you feel like truly makes Brevard College a special experience for a potential football student athlete?
Well, on the football side of it, I think you'll get a football education that's second to none. I think you have a coaching staff that I'd put up against the University of Tennessee or any staff in the country, to be honest. And at this level, it's absolutely phenomenal. So I think we offer that experience and that knowledge is huge for us, especially in recruiting what we offer the kids. Now the college is a beautiful, gorgeous place. Outdoors wise, I don't know if there's a prettier place with the waterfalls and the mountains and all that stuff. It's a gorgeous place to live.
Yeah, it all creates a really intriguing combination for any student who's looking for a home in NCAA Division III football to come here to Brevard College. Last thing, Coach, we mentioned Dennis Green, but I'm curious, who are some of the other coaches that folks may know the names of, or maybe they don't, who have really been influences in your career, and who you occasionally either stay in contact with or even just remember something they may have told you over the years.
Joe Wickline, who was an offensive line coach and assistant head coach at Texas and West Virginia, he was my offensive line coach in college, and he's actually the one who really taught me how to play the game of football and the mentality to play the game of football. And then I'd say Brian Billick, who was my offensive coordinator in Minnesota, and then I got traded to Baltimore and ended up playing for him. Organizationally, he is the most organized person I've ever been around in my life. He has everything organized from the first practice of the year to the Super Bowl. He's got everything lined up. So he's always, organizational-wise, there was nobody I've been around that was quite like that. And then I'd say Mike Tice, who my rookie year played next to me, who was my tight end, and was a great influence on me and staying in the game and keeping me, keeping my spirit up when, injuries happen and all that other stuff. He was he's a great mentor to me also. And then I've been around so many coaches I can't even, even name guys that, that I played with that went into the coaching profession. Jack Del Rio, Tony Dungy. There was just, the list goes on of guys who, little tidbits here and there would, that always have that lasting impression on me.
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much every coach I've ever talked to tells me that they take a little bit from so many coaches over the years. Right?
Even right now, I take stuff from Eric Gallen all the time. There's little things that he does with running backs or how he views something that I view totally different. And when we do the running game every week, it's really a collaboration of both of us. Our way he sees things and the way I see things, and we come together. So yeah, I take and then there's Billy. Billy, I take things from Billy. All coaches do, or how we do things, or organizationally, or structurally, or on the field.
Well, Coach, you're part of a tremendous staff that head coach Bill Kyatt has built here at Brevard College, and if any prospects are listening, or viewing tonight's broadcast, I hope they do consider Brevard College. Certainly a special experience could be in store for them. Any final words as far as, maybe what you guys are up to in these, coming months? And at this level, you have to recruit all the way through the summer. You have to recruit the kids that have already signed. You have to recruit the kids that haven't signed. You have to continue to work with these kids until they get to campus. So we will work hard and through August to put the best guys on get the best guys into camp, and then from August on, the best guys on the field. Outstanding. Well, Coach Lindsay, thanks for joining the show tonight. Great to get to know you a little better, and good luck throughout the spring as you guys continue to build Brevard College football.
All right. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Assistant Coach Everett Lindsay, he handles the offensive line of the Brevard College Tornadoes. Great to have him on the program as the Tornadoes continue to build an outstanding football program here at Brevard College. And we'll shift gears yet again. Now going to talk some men's lacrosse. Great to have these two on the show. Guys want to get settled and all right, joined now from Brevard College men's lacrosse, Jackson McCaig and Peyton Mooney. Gentlemen, thanks for joining Tornado Talk.
Thank you.
Well, you two provided two of the star performances of the weekend, a dominant 21-7 win over Randolph up in Lynchburg, Virginia. Kind of big picture, and from a team perspective, how'd you guys feel about that trip to Virginia and, the win that you guys pulled off?
I felt really good about it. It's always hard going on the road, especially, a long trip like that being, 6-hour drive there, the day of. But I thought the guys really responded well to that. We got off the bus. The bus was a little bit late, had about a 30-minute warm-up, and, we were just ready to go. Once that first whistle hit, I felt really good. I think the team really did well on that road trip.
Yeah, and the improvement from our last two games, just the guys came out ready to play, and we just played a lot harder, and the system worked really well.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's the big thing at this point of the season, that you're improving every time out and continuing to build something. Now, Peyton, you set the school record for highest single game save percentage for a goalkeeper at Brevard College. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you.
Were you aware of the record, or did you guys figure it out on the bus ride home? How did that all go down?
I wasn't aware of the record. Got into the locker room and we were all kind of hanging out, doing whatever. And I checked my phone just after the game, because my parents weren't there. So I was just gonna talk to my dad, and I opened my phone up, and he says, "You went 18 for 23 on shots, and that's like a whatever it was 782. That's a new school record." And I was like, "Whoa, like that's pretty cool." Had no idea I was even close to it, but it's definitely pretty cool to set that.
Jackson, we're still sorting out all the numbers from the Randolph game, but as we unfold it all, we have also revealed that you set a single game record as well. 6 goals, 6 assists, adds up to 12 points, which sets a single game record. Earlier this season, your teammate Hewitt Farr tied your single game record for most goals in a game, back at that Montreat game. So you're along the record book as well. Were you, as an attacker, were you feeling it, as far as finding the back of the net, up there in Lynchburg?
Yeah, I've kind of been in a scoring slump these last couple games, so it was nice to finally get it going. I've been trying to focus more on the assists this season, so I got more into the groove of that to start, and they just started falling for me scoring-wise, so it was fun.
Now, I would like to hear you comment on your fellow attacker, Hewitt Farr, who's out to a really hot start as far as finding the back of the net. As we just said, he tied that record with that big performance at Montreat, continued with another goal-scoring barrage, these next 2 games as well. How's Hewitt playing?
Hewitt is playing the best lacrosse I've ever seen him play. He came out with a chip on his shoulder this year, excited to be back on attack. He's kind of shifted between attack and midfield this last 3 years, and he's definitely earned a spot, and he's been itching for his chance to play attack like this. So he's excited. I know he wants to go out with a bang. So we're having a lot of fun together.
Now, Peyton, I would be remiss not to ask you about your assist at Montreat. And I don't know just how rare this is in lacrosse, but it can't happen too often. A goalkeeper, Hail Mary. We just had a football coach on, a bomb, basically, that results in a goal. How did that all unfold? Can you kind of take us through step by step how that assist happened at Montreat?
Yeah, so we had just come out of a timeout, and they said we're gonna double the ball since they were man down and try and get it back so we could get it up the field quick and try and get a goal. And they said if we're running out of time and somebody gets the ball, just heave it down there, right? And so we ended up pushing the guy out of bounds, and ball was there, and I was like, give me the ball. And so they passed it up to me, and I turned and I saw Hewitt, and his man was, I don't know what he was doing, but so I heaved it, put it kind of right over top of his defender, and he just caught it mid-stride and finished it from there. It was pretty awesome. First time I've ever done that for sure. So.
Yeah, 80-yard connection from Mooney to Farr, and then Farr delivers with the goal. Outstanding. Oh, yeah. Would like listeners to get to know a little about each of you and your journey. You're both seniors here at Brevard College. Jackson, let's start from you. You're from Gainesville, Florida.
Yes, sir.
And somehow either Brevard found you or you found Brevard. Let's start there. As a Gainesville native down in Florida, how did you end up at Brevard College?
Well, I was born in Durham, North Carolina, and moved down to Florida when I was very young. So I vacationed in the mountains a couple times, and I just kind of knew I wanted to go to school in North Carolina. And then I was at a lacrosse camp in Rhode Island and ran into some coaches from same conference, or our previous conference, from Mars Hill and Queens. And I was like, I'll just look around this area. So I ended up visiting those 2 schools and here at Brevard, and it clicked immediately with the guys that I was meeting. When I came on the visit, the guys were amazing. Felt like a family immediately. And then within a couple days, I was like, this is where I want to be.
Now, 4 years later, here you are, your senior year. I'm sure we'll talk again before Senior Day, but can you reflect back a little bit and, just how meaningful this 4 years has been for you?
Yeah, we've had our ups and downs. We've had quite a bit of coaching changes, quite a bit of guys come and go. Some really good friends ended up leaving, and it's been amazing, though. I mean, we've had the same core group of guys, our class that came in. We had a group message going halfway through the summer, and we were all best friends before we even met. And so thank goodness I had those guys have my back the whole time. We were all texting throughout everything that happened. We were always had each other's backs, always had meetings, us privately. So the friendship started it all.
It's a very strong senior class, no doubt about it. By my count, 10 seniors in the class this season, and so a lot of experience, which bodes well for what could come later this season for you guys. Payne, now you're from Ontario, Canada, not far from Toronto up there. It's one thing a guy from Florida finding Brevard somehow. Half of Florida comes up here for summer anyway. But how does someone from Ontario, Canada, end up in Brevard?
So probably my sophomore year of high school, I decided I wanted to play more. I've been playing since I was 5 years old, and I wasn't ready to be done. So I started playing some club ball up there, and I'd come down and play Virginia, Maryland, in that area, real hotbed. And actually, I was getting some looks, not a whole lot, and then I decided I wanted to go into the outdoor field. And so I was searching around for schools that had both lacrosse and a wilderness program, and I found here. And so I emailed Coach Anderson, who was the coach at the time, and he then basically he followed me through a couple of tournaments. He came up to Canada to come watch me play a couple of times, and my senior year of high school, going to school at the Hill Academy, I ended up just knowing at that point that I had to be here. I'd come on a couple visits, and I didn't see myself being anywhere else. So this really was my spot, and I don't regret it at all. So it's been awesome.
Well, glad you both are here now. I'm sure you get the opportunity when high school student athletes are here visiting to talk to them a little bit and, try to help the coaches, recruit these players. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you tell them about both Brevard College and also the lacrosse program that, you really from the heart, you feel?
Well, for me, my biggest sell is that we're all brothers. I mean, the fact that we've been this tight throughout everything, and the fact that the summer before we even had met in person, we had all become best friends. You come here, you're going to have brothers for life. I mean, I'm going to talk to these guys every year till the day I die. I mean, it's going to be amazing. So the fact that you form that kind of bond, and then not to even bring up Pisgah, I mean, the amazing forwards we have here. And if they're an outdoorsman, then I got them. I'll take them fly fishing, go on hikes, anything like that. So those are my two big things I always tell them.
Nice.
Yeah. As far as lacrosse goes, I like to talk to them about, especially this year, about our coaching staff and how experienced Coach Fritz is and how knowledgeable Coach Arno is. That's been a big sell for me, having a free recruits this year. And then as far as the school goes, I like to, just let them know that the small class sizes we have here and everything like that really allows them to get to know their teachers and their professors better than they would at almost any other school. And that helps, academically, everything like that. When you know your teachers personally, you can let them know, hey, I've got a game these days, and a lot of the times they're completely fine with that, or they'll help you if you're struggling because they know you're a student athlete, all that. So those are kind of my big two sells.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from both of you guys is family, and a lot of places talk about it, but what the impression I'm getting is it's 100%. The real deal here with the Brevard College men's lacrosse team. Now, you mentioned Coach Fritz and head coach Jim Fritz and also assistant coach Arno Olivier. Tell folks a little more, because they're new coaches for you guys, and you guys have, had your share over the years and over your entire career. Just how knowledgeable are those two, and how much are they helping your games individually?
Oh man, it's hard to explain just how knowledgeable they are. Coming from, where we've been. Having them being our fifth and sixth coaches that we've had here. Starting with Coach Fritz, he's been around the game forever. He's started programs. He's won championships. Everything right. He's extremely knowledgeable, and kind of the big thing that he's doing is really just hammering in the fundamentals for us, which is a big thing for us. We've always kind of struggled moving the ball around, and it hasn't been a coming from a finishing standpoint or anything like that where we've struggled, but it's been being able to get to that point where we can finish, and so that's something that he has really helped the entire team with. And then as far as Coach Arno has been helping us, he's helped the entire team a lot. He runs individuals with us as much as he can. I know we're out there every Tuesday, Friday, the attackmen, D-poles, and goalies, learning how to do just about everything down there, from defensemen throwing checks to them how to get out of checks and learn how to protect their stick better, to me learning my angles properly, when to step up, when to stay in the goal, kind of stuff. So he's definitely been a huge factor for us this year, which is awesome.
Yeah, and Fritz, I mean, he's been amazing. The first day I met him, he pulls me into his office and says, "Do you want to have fun your senior year, or do you want me to push you to be a better player?" I was like, "Of course I want you to push me. I want to have a fun last ride, but I want to be the best ride I've had." So it was amazing to have him come in and say that to me. And then Arno's just constantly been in my ear, pushing me to be better every day. So it's been great.
Well, a trip to Hood College in Frederick, Maryland this week is next on deck. What have the coaches told you is the priority this week as far as preparing for your next matchup?
Continue on what we had this past game and building off of it. And we did very well in clears and man up, but trying to limit some of our turnovers we had. We had a couple on our rides. We struggled with our rides, so we've been working on those a lot more. So basically just kind of looking at our errors from the previous game and building on them.
Yep. Yeah, they're just kind of pushing us, get better every day. That that was a big part of our quote. We have a quote every day for practice, and the essence of ours today was just get better every day. It doesn't matter if it's practice, game, get better every day. So.
Well, congratulations, gentlemen, on the big win over the weekend. I'm sure you've turned the page, already, and are continuing to improve and work hard out there. I'm thrilled to be able to witness, you all's senior season with such a strong senior class, and I can't wait to see what comes as this season unfolds. And thanks for coming on Tornado Talk tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
thanks,
us.
Guys. Jackson McCaig and Peyton Mooney, two of those stars from this past weekend's dominant 21-7 win over Randolph. Great to have them on Tornado Talk. Talking a little men's lacrosse as they continue with their 2019 season. And our final guest, part of a regular segment here on Tornado Talk, when we really go inside Brevard Athletics and go behind the scenes in the athletic department, we're joined now by Stephanie Johnson, the newly appointed Assistant Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator here at Brevard College. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you aboard, not only here on Tornado Talk, obviously, but part of the Brevard College Athletic Department. Would like to start with just letting folks get to know you a little better and, where you came from. You came from Delaware Valley University in Pennsylvania. You've worked at University of Memphis, where you work closely with the women's basketball program on the D1 level. Let's start there. Tell folks how you got into the sports business.
Well, I played college volleyball, and then I always wanted to be a coach or AD. So I just, during grad school, someone came into the office and they needed an intern, and I was like, I am here and available, and that's how I got my foot in the door and have not left.
Now, you played volleyball at Coppin State,
Mm-hmm.
and you received a Bachelor's of Science in Sports Management.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got a Master's of Science in Sport Commerce from University of Memphis. And, one of your early experiences was working with the University of Memphis women's basketball program. What were your duties with the women's basketball program, and how valuable was that for where you're at today?
So I did operations just like I'm doing now. So I did anything that dealt with travel, itineraries, getting food for when they left, came back, just any operations things that you can think of for a women's basketball team only. That's what I was doing, managing like camps and uniforms and inventory, just everything operational. That's what I was doing, which is now very beneficial because that's exactly what I'm doing now, but for an entire athletic department. So it's bigger, but the same because D1 is just a whole different animal because you're moving faster, but it's only for one team. So with Division 3, you do get your hands in every single sport, and so it feels like the same pace, but I mean it's a different animal than Division 1.
And then most recently, you were at Delaware Valley
Mhm.
University, which is in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
For folks who may not be familiar with Delaware Valley University, tell folks a little bit about that school and also its athletic department.
So Del Val is Division 3. It's an ag school. So their big major is science, agriculture, anything like that. A lot of animals. When you walk on campus, it smells like cow. So you know you made it. The athletic department is great. Their football team is pretty amazing. So I hope that here at Brevard we can get a football team just as amazing. But that's like their big sport that goes to a lot of the NCAA playoffs. And right now, their basketball team is actually in the conference tournament trying to make it to the NCAA playoffs. So right now, their athletic department is doing pretty well.
Well, you had many of the same responsibilities there that you're going to have
Mhm.
here at Brevard College as assistant athletic director. Like you mentioned, a lot of the operations, managing the game day staff, game
Mhm.
contracts, facility enhancements, scheduling, those kind of things. Now that you're here at Brevard, and as you were, gearing up for this opportunity at Brevard College, what do you see as the potential here? What can we as an athletic department turn Brevard College into?
Well, I'm excited to work under Miranda because I know she has fresh eyes for this department in a new position, and me coming in under her, I know she's willing to let me see things and maybe change a little bit of the operational things that I think I can make better, which is really exciting. So I've been talking to a couple of people about the sponsorships that maybe we can get and just advance Brevard to the next level all around. So making the athletes feel special through like outside businesses and fans, and maybe that will take their mindset to another level on the field, court, pool, wherever.
And now that you're at Brevard College, we're in the mountains of North Carolina, a beautiful part of the country that, people, save up all year round so they can take a vacation here and that kind of thing. What are your first impressions of the area now that you're a resident?
Well, I will say when I'm driving down 280, I think sometimes I look up and it's foggy in the mountains, and I always want to take a picture, but I'm driving, so I'm like, I can't take a picture. So I think that is beautiful. And this morning it was so foggy, but when I drove up to campus, I could see again this fog in the mountains, but it's so far away, and I'm just like, man, this looks really, really cool. And this would be a great puzzle. That's what I always think. This would be a great puzzle. It'd be hard, but it'd be a great puzzle. But besides, I think my car adjusting and thinking, I think these mountains are taking all my gas. I think I'm going to love it here. And it's not too hot, not too cold right now. So I think I'm going to love it. I'm waiting to find the waterfalls. I'm still trying to unpack. But I want to go find the waterfalls and take my dog and see what we can find out there in the wilderness.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a unique spot, not only for someone to live or to work, as you and I are doing, but also to go to school. Really a special place. Not many places have climbing programs and mountain biking and cyclocross and road cycling, not to mention, all the traditional sports as well. When you were, determining whether this was something you wanted to do and come to Brevard College and work in the athletic department, was that part of it? Hey, that's a unique place, compared to just your normal, athletic department across the country?
Of course. So when I went to Del Val, I knew nothing about field hockey, and I learned about field hockey and got to work the NCAA championships. And then Brevard has climbing, which I'm going to go climb after this, and cycling, which I know very little about. So I'm really excited to jump in 2 feet first and learn about that and maybe even experience it. I actually got to shoot my first lacrosse goal with the women's lacrosse team. It was really exciting, and
I
I
like
made
this
it.
hands-on approach you're taking, Stephanie.
So I love being involved in the athletes, knowing that I'm rooting for them and I'm willing to get my hands dirty with them.
Well, speaking of climbing, hope to see you on Saturday at the Brevard Boulder Bash when our team here at Brevard College hosts, their spring competition. It's going to be a lot of fun over there at the Brevard Rock Gym. Stephanie, thanks for joining Tornado Talk. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Brevard College. Welcome to Brevard, North Carolina. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you.
And it was great to, let listeners and viewers get to know you a little bit better as well. It's going to be fun having you around.
Thank you. I'm excited.
All right. That was Stephanie Johnson, the newly appointed Assistant Athletic Director and Senior Woman Administrator at Brevard College. Want to thank all of our guests tonight, not just Stephanie Johnson, but head men's basketball coach Lee Burgess. We had climbing student athletes Sam Willis and Mac Fitzgerald, football offensive line coach Everett Lindsay. From men's lacrosse, 2 seniors who had big weekends, Jackson McCaig and Peyton Mooney, both with record-setting weekends in that win in Lynchburg, Virginia over Randolph by the Brevard College men's lacrosse team. We want to let you all know of some upcoming home events for Brevard College Tornadoes Athletics. Saturday, softball, home opener, doubleheader, starts at 1 p.m. versus Piedmont at home. And then we've mentioned it quite a few times this evening, but just want to make sure it's on your calendar. The 3rd annual Brevard Boulder Bash USA Climbing Collegiate Appalachian Region competition starts at 2 o'clock at the Brevard Rock Gym. Hope to see you there. Want to thank all of our sponsors: Arby's, Zaxby's, Holiday Inn Express, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Mission Sports Medicine, Comporium, Pepsi, and of course the home of Tornado Talk, Dugan's Pub. Check out BC Tornadoes on Twitter and Instagram, and make sure you like the Brevard College Athletics Facebook page. We also are on SoundCloud and YouTube, so make sure you check out those social media outlets as well. And of course, the official website of the Brevard College Tornadoes, www.bctornadoes.com. Thanks for all who made tonight's program possible, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week for Tornado Talk. Good night.